Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all it gives us and what we hope it gives you. We're on episode 89 today with some fun updates to share and just hopefully a good time.
Right? Our works in progress are being worked on. Where I don't know. This shirt deal, I think I went a little too far.
What do you mean?
I tried it on the other night and you weren't here, and I thought, I could probably do 7 more rows on this thing. Yep. I did 7 more rows, and then I did the ruffle, the scallop bottom, and it looks humongous. I tried it on last night and I am not happy. But for me, this is my own pattern. I've never made anything form-fitting before, and positive ease is tricky when it gets really big. So I thought it was, it's a nice
Collar.
yeah, a nice collar, and working down from the collar all the way through and double crochet is really nice. But I'm feeling like this is a dress now. It's really long, and I really like the scallop bottom. Now that part I really liked. Whenever I get this
Perfected.
where it's working out for me, I think I'm gonna do that because I really like that soft edge. I'm not even gonna work on the sleeves right now. I think I'm gonna end up ripping this out.
Not all of it, right?
And starting over.
Why?
Because it's just not fitting right. I don't know. When I shouldn't have woven the ends before I tried it on. That's my fault. And I wove them in good because I did not want them coming out because I thought I was so excited it was done. That part of it was done. All I had to work was the sleeves, and I was going to be done with this thing. Nope. Now I have no idea where the bottom edge even starts. I do know where the top edge starts because for some reason I kept that. I want that to be the back of this, which is another question for me. How do you know the front from the back when you're doing your own? So I don't know. I will have to figure that out when I'm doing it, right? When you make it a certain way or you do something, I don't know how you tell the front from the back.
We made the front have more stitches than the back.
Right, but how are you going to know that when you're just taking it out of the closet? I just don't know. I guess you'd figure that out as you do it.
You would see it.
But, so for now, I'm going to scrap that project for the time being. I want to work on watching more videos and figuring out ease, whether it's positive or negative, and how to work that out, because I do have my pattern and I have every row written down, but it still did not work out for me. So, and being a newbie, I ran into that problem. So I'm going to go back to my old standby, and I'm going to make a blanket. And I picked out the colors this morning and rolled them into balls, and I think I'm going to make a baby blanket for the project client, Linus. And it's going to be, and I know it's winter, I know we've already passed the fall colors, but I still think they're pretty. And I had quite a bit of them. So I have a couple balls of the autumn colors. And I have a mandala that's in rust right now, but it's got oranges coming up and probably other colors in there, and I don't know. I'm going to put these together 2 at a time, and it's just going to work itself out in all kinds of different ways. I have another one of these, so I have three of those, And then I have a great big mandala that's all wound up and has the different colors of yellows and browns and all that. So I think these are going to be the colors that go with this. It's just going to be the secondary colors, and I'm going to work those together. 36 by 36 blanket is what baby blanket size is for Project Linus. And I'm just going to see how much of that works up really well. And I'm going to use my 10 millimeter furls hook, and I'm just going to work that out. That's going to be something I can do that I feel confident in, and I'm going to watch videos on how to make clothing and work that ease situation out, because when I put it on, there was no, bell shape or hourglass. There was just straight down and then out. And the length on it, I could probably wear it as a mini skirt or with leggings, and it would be okay. But at the same time, I'm losing weight. If I were to wear this, it would swim on me pretty soon. It's swimming on me now, but it's going to swim on me in a couple of months, and that's not what I'm going for. So I'm gonna rip some of it out and see if Sarah can help me a little bit more on it, and see if we can't work it into something wearable.
I would encourage you not to rip the whole thing out, but we can...
I gotta find the end of that.
But we can work on the bottom half of it just fine. I am confident in that. That is already trial and error compared to the knowledge you already had of starting it.
Right.
And so I don't think you should rip it all out.
Okay.
I think that would be...
Maybe the last 7 rows and the scallop.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
Because we can always... Because the ease... positive ease, we should be able to do that just fine.
Right.
Even if it's just me and you doing math, figuring out when and where that's going to land, and every other couple of rows so that it would be a bell. I do have confidence in having that happen.
If it just came up a little higher so it looked like a shirt and not a dress.
Right. Right. No,
it was totally my fault. So.
Well, not just your fault. It's just this is the learning curve.
Right. And double crochet, it makes that bigger stitch, so you're having 7 rows of it. It came down quite far.
Right.
And I don't know why. I guess I just enjoyed the stitch and was just enjoying doing something on it, and it just went too long.
No, you're fine. I think it is good.
Yeah.
And no, you would be able to tell when you put it on the hanger what side would be the front, because it's going to be the one that hangs forward.
Okay.
Because it has more weight and more stitches. If it was same on both sides, it wouldn't matter already which way it was, because it was just flat. But one side is going to have more give because of pretty much if you were...
The chest area.
Yeah, but I'm talking like if you were actually sewing clothes, it'd be because of the pleating.
Right.
You would see that there was more room in the front.
Right.
Because of women having more endowment in the front.
Right.
So that's how you would have told here. And by the way, other ways you could do it, you could always put like a button in the back. Like it could make it look like it's a tag, or you could sew a tag into the back yourself.
I could. Yeah.
You could do like a little pink strip and just sew it there, so that it would be the equivalent of a tag on your collar or just underneath the collar.
Right. And for those of you who are wondering what this yarn is, I did explain it, but I didn't have the label last week. This time I grabbed the label. So it's Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo, and it's in the colorway Aran Fleck. And
that sounds like a name.
It's really, I just...
It's very pretty.
Yeah, I just love the tweed. And it almost looks like an oatmeal with the tweed in it.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying that part of it. The yarn is very yummy. I do like working with that. But yeah, I got to work on that pattern a little bit more. So, how is Baby Yoda coming?
So I'm struggling a little.
What is it with us and clothing?
How
And
the
it's it's about the same color too.
Yeah, so it's not that it's turning out bad by any means.
It's so cute.
So I finished the body of the jacket and I have both sleeves done. And the sleeves turned out fine to the pattern. And I was very happy and satisfied about how I added on this portion so that the grain and the back and forth would be consistent up until when they wanted me to do it in solid rounds where you could see the difference in the rows. The collar turned out great on the decoratives of the separations of the sleeves. The collar, though, so the collar, like the hem to clasp the jacket, this little piece was solid like this, and it was about yay thick. That yarn, oh god, I think it was like a camel teddy bear yarn, something like that. I don't know if I have the label with me right now. It was 3 strands thick it was like a ribbon material that had along it sewn into it this fuzziness on one side. And so it was almost like a ribbon yarn that had this texture coming off of one edge of it.
Okay.
And they had 3 strands of those twisted together to make that yarn. Oh. So when I cut the yarn, I was able to strip it into strands, and I crocheted the strands to make the equivalent of this thickness of what the acrylic yarn had been, because that was excessively too thick to be able to work into it on its own. But it made for, even as a 1-ply to the 3-ply, so it was still thick.
I like the softness too.
But I don't know if you can notice, this yarn does better on knitting projects because on the needle you can't mistake where the stitches are. Right. They're hanging on the needle. With crochet, it really relies on your visual capacity. And so here, I couldn't see my foundation stitch. After I put the collar on the first time, I lost it, and I literally had to go blind feeling for the stitches.
Oh gosh.
And so I was looking at the pattern, looking at where the increases or decreases were, and just trying to have the same amount of stitches in this portion of the pattern or wherever it was. I still got too much or too little in some sense, because there was too much of an overgap. This was supposed to hang weighted gradually, but it's so heavy of a yarn that it's weighing on this, and this is pretty darn sturdy.
Right.
Like,
it could almost stand on its own.
Yeah, it's not like this is without its own ability to be firm and stiff. But this weighs it down so much. And so what I tried to do is, even though it was supposed to just lay, the collar was just supposed to lay down flat, I tried to sew it and make it like a poofy collar so that the added excess wouldn't matter. But now I'm struggling with its shape. Like, it doesn't want to, see, it keeps...
Right.
But I recognize that once Baby Yoda's head's popping out of here, I probably won't see this. But I'm struggling because even to get the front side of this to just cover over the hemline of this, which is how they want you to clasp it, I'm not getting these ends to lay nicely flat together doing so. Trial and error. They wanted me to get a very specific yarn, and I didn't because it would have had to be ordered online, and I wanted to see if I could use what I had. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I can't still try to make this work, or unsew me sewing it onto the fabric and see if I can maneuver it in a different way. Might even do that with you,
Right.
so you can see how this lays flat, and I can look at yours, and maybe we can have fresh eyes on
Yeah.
it. No matter what, right now my goal is to just work on the body of Yoda, and then see maybe if I can see how it would the jacket would look naturally
Right.
around him.
Yeah.
Because this might be fine.
It might be.
And I'm just not seeing it because I'm not seeing this fully poofed out
With something in it.
with something in it. It's
Yeah.
just flat to me right now.
Right.
But this might be exactly what it needs.
Yeah, I
And
wouldn't rip anything out until I find out.
And I could make this an attachment too, where there's Velcro or something right
Yeah.
there to make it seamless. I have options. I need to be able to see the head outside of the collar to be able to make the choices. And so I'm kind of just leaving this as like a possible whip
Right.
to the side. Strands and the loose ends on it, I can sew in and still be done.
Yeah.
I just have them there so I can see it. If I have to pull stuff out,
Yeah.
I'm not stressing myself out about it.
Yeah. Take it from experience. You don't want to weave them in until you know.
So, interestingly enough, I was in a position where I was working on the arm. Hi. Now, this cute little arm is great, like, no big deal. But I was getting to the portion in the arm, actually, I'm at the exact portion of the arm where this implies for the other hand. So, left hand, right hand. You see the little thumbs. Where in the pattern, it's requiring me to take wire and put it into the fingers and then stuff around it and then create the arm, which is what I have here. And obviously they actually give you actual measurements. I just pulled out wire. But here's what's funny. You see the pipe cleaner as I normally do it. I was kind of starting my braiding process of my pipe cleaner being like, and my husband could see my face and he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, the pipe cleaner, though working on smaller amigurumi, isn't bad. Like, it still creates the structure at a baseline level to be able to form around it, and it allows for me to see where things are supposed to be. It allows for things to lay where they're supposed to be, but it's not as good as like a 3mm wire. Crafting wire, which is what all of these have always required, and I have just never indulged in buying. And my husband's like, let me go to Harbor Freight. And he literally just straight up got out of the chair and left. I was like, okay. He's like, the crafting wire that you're talking about would be extremely expensive coming from the source that they would imply you buy it from. So like a crafting place like Joann's or Michael's or even Amazon, because the yardage of this crafting yarn for its price per yard is greater than getting this wire. This is stainless steel locking wire, and you can get it in a pound coil at a time where you just pull from the top and the wire comes out.
Wow.
And if I am not mistaken, this is at 3mm. And I'm still able to bend it and mold it. But I got a whole pound worth of this stuff, which makes up for, oh good lord, 41 inches?
No.
Feet?
Oh, no.
What is
I don't know what it is.
Okay. I don't have length on here. They intend for you to just know it by the pound.
It's just a pound.
But it's quite a bit. When you look inside, you can see it. And you pull it from the middle, kind of like a skein of yarn. And they were like, yeah, so this is only $9.
Wow. So that's a deal.
For
as many
for
toys as
I
you're gonna
make.
Yes.
Yeah. And James is like, anytime you need me to pick this up, just let me know and I'll pick it up on my way home.
Isn't he great?
And
he really supports her habit.
And so I'm sitting there being like, now I actually have a functional, and I noticed that with this left hand, the structure of it wasn't laying the way it was, and I was just able to move the fingers.
Wow.
Where I needed to, because this wire is much more sturdy than the pipe cleaner. And again, the pipe cleaner is fine. It's not like I don't appreciate it. I was actually able to put the wire in its place by braiding the pipe cleaner around it to soften the edges.
Right.
So it still has a purpose for how much I have of it. But yeah, I'm kind of excited about that. So I'm just right now working on the next arm, and then I'll be working on the feet and then the legs, and then it will go into the structural capacity of the trunk or the torso, attaching the arms, making the neck, and then I'll be doing the head. When I was coming here, I went to my my mailbox, and I have not received the safety eyes yet. So I was hoping to be able to show you that, but right now there's that. I will say, in my attempt, like I had shared with you guys last week, to kind of make more this year about being able to appreciate my gifts more structurally at home, where I have more of my projects at home, whether it be for me or for my children or my family. That has seemed to be like I mentioned it to you guys, and I slightly mentioned it to my husband and the people I'm living with. I didn't really say it in the way that I expressed it to you guys last week. I kind of just told them there are some projects I'd like to make room for myself after these major projects. You're not going to find me doing anything else for other people until my projects are done. They said okay. So that's all they heard. I have had both my son come up to me and say, I want more toys. I've had my daughter come up to me and said that she needed a Disney wig that I had to make. I wasn't allowed to just buy her one. And I had my husband come up to me and saying, so I know you've been doing more wearables. I want that cardigan that you keep saying that you're going to make me and you haven't yet. And I just sat back and I just kind of sat back being like, this year, is it going to be about the year of crafting much more closer to home? And,
yes.
And it happened regardless of, despite the fact that there are things that I am still going to want to make. Like I said, seasonal or holiday things that I want to be able to pull out and actually be a part of my family's tradition and legacy that I've made with them or with their help. All of them, not just my children, but my husband as well. There are things I want like that, but there's also things I need to make to be able to be like, I didn't do this for any other purpose than just for my own enjoyment. Right. That is something I have to start practicing more. And I made baby steps. I've isolated very specific patterns I wanted, but I'm kind of being stubborn about picking them because I'm like, because then that means I have to actually commit to all the yarn I'm going to have to buy and all this that I'm going to, and it's like all of the patterns I have are of creatures or structures that have so much color, and they're going to require a palette of color that that's scary. Like a pattern's one thing, but to actually have to recreate that with all the color is going to be a lot to undertake.
Right.
And yet, as I'm kind of like going back and forth on it, one of the projects that I have had in my project and my favorites on Etsy went on sale.
Ooh.
Half off.
Ooh.
And the project's about this big, all the way around. It's kind of like a throw pillow, but to be honest, it would be much more of something I'm going to actually put on a shelf. And it was like a $5-6 pattern that on half off was only $2.49.
Wow.
And I was sitting back looking at it being like, I'm going to regret it if I don't purchase it. So that was something I did actually purchase within this week that I told you guys I was actually going to do it. The ones that I was hoping to purchase, they're $7 for that pattern. It's not that that's expensive for a pattern. That's reasonable by far for these patterns. If not, actually very cheap.
Right.
I just don't have it. I can't spend an intense amount of money on things that don't serve a purpose in the immediate moment right now, because of where our financial funds are at. Not that we're bad, but just I have to be realistic because it's so close to Christmas and we just got done buying so many things, and I have to kind of balance out the overabundance that we just had. But my husband was just like, every paycheck, as we have some extra money, I'll be able to make those sort of small purchases to gather the supplies, to gather these things. And he's obviously on the lookout. And so, yeah, it was just kind of like a really interesting moment of realizing that the vibe or the sensation that I was getting about needing to stick closer to home just to have my kids and my husband on their own come to me, just being like, this is happening.
They appreciate mommy's talent.
They appreciate mommy's talent. My phone's going off.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Just a minute. I forgot about my phone.
Well, that is what we are doing this for, right? Our talents and our things are just meant for family and for others and for ourselves. And when we work with yarn and we work with the talents that we have, whether it's crochet or knitting or plastic canvas or embroidery or any
Whatever
of those
it
things,
is.
we can put those to good use, especially with a daughter and a son, knowing that mommy can do these things now, and wanting those things, and it's a matter of having the right tools and the right yarn, and so it's all good. Okay. Oh, we already did that one. Mm-hmm. I was going to do this.
Okay.
So we're talking about the scripture. We're going to read that off now. The scripture today is, "Be content with such things as ye have." And I think that just fell into what I was just saying. Hebrews 13:5. And I was writing down a couple of things that I just thought would fall into that category. Life, our talents, our yarn, time, be content with such things as you have. Time is a major thing for me right now. Patterns, friends, just all the things that, we can take for granted, but we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Our houses, our cars, our breathing, our heartbeat, sight and the use of our hands and our fingers, just all the things that we should not take for granted. So,
I feel like you said that pretty straightforward. Just be content with such things as you have, and like I said, it's one of those things where it's like we can, if we look at it in the way that it is intended for. Kind of like with me, it's like I have been using my talent to give, which I have no problems doing, but in doing so, I have not been able to appreciate it out of my own, and so on my own, and so it's one of those things where it's now I'm trying to take time out of to make a priority to be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to know that we can. That when God gave us this talent, and now others are starting to notice, your kids, your husband, people have noticed for years what Sarah can do. They now know in their little hearts and brains, Olivia and Kaniel, that mommy can do this, and there's no reason why we need to go to the store because mommy has yarn and she can make this stuff. And that's kind of satisfying,
It
you know,
is.
knowing that you can do it and satisfy your kids' needs and just be able to make the thing. And that's kind of what I'm about to do with this blanket too. I want to make this for some little child and make it to the best of my ability and do it for someone else.
Yeah.
Do it for someone else. You know, I know that last week we were talking about doing things for ourselves, and I would still like to do that, but I'm all about doing blankets for others and bringing that comfort to them. And so that's where I'm at right now. So, but we are so busy today. My husband and I have a home business, and he's got to be scooting pretty soon to do some evaluation work for a friend of ours. And he's the one watching Canyon right now, so we're gonna cut this a little shorter than we usually do.
Yeah, and I have to actually make that phone call again for Daniel.
Yeah. So we are going to say goodbye, and I'm gonna let you finish how you usually do. So.
Well, we hope that you guys had a good time spending time with us and can appreciate us where we're at in our work, and hopefully it was a good time spending with us as you worked on your projects or got inspired or just wanted to see where we were at. As always, we love you guys, and we hope that this was an encouragement, and as always, we hope that you stitch your way
To mental health.